So right now it is 8:42 p.m. and it is Friday, August 21st. So basically, we are continuing on with the journal about my dad, the greedy farmer. Basically, the thing about it is he only has one thing, which is the short story. The short story, obviously, is the only thing that's left for him, and while he's trying to use the short story against me, at the same time, he's calling and yelling at Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother, mainly due to the fact and saying that you betrayed me, mainly due to the fact that with his short stories, he wanted to use the early January lies, which he can no longer use against me anymore, mainly due to the fact that those early January lies were already confessed to the government informant by Ibrahim's envious mother, greedy, envious mother, as being complete and total lies. So basically, what ended up happening was Ibrahim, the greedy farmer's greedy, envious mother, whom now, along with her son, were greedily sending me requests for me to marry their daughter, their ugly looking, abnormal looking daughter that I have absolutely no interest in. They were sending me requests for me to marry her over and over again recently. Basically not testified, but confessed to the government informant as saying that the reason she was fabricating all these lies against me was due to the fact that she held extreme envy and greed for my brain savant money, basically telling him that it was due to extreme envy that she wished to lock up my brain savant, basically due to extreme envy, due to which now that it has come out and all the lies have come out, all she does now is try to advertise her daughter to me to try to force me to marry her abnormal looking ugly daughter who's way too young for me. Yes, I just showed you right now the times were at March 7th when her first set of lies, second set of lies were caught, and then after that it was July 18th, after June 24th was overanalyzed, sorry, and then after that June 24th was overanalyzed every single day afterwards. So you had things like August 16th, and then you had also August 18th. So Ibrahim, the greedy farmer's envious, greedy mother, confessed to the government informant on the very first day, saying that she had nothing but lies against me, and she was given an entire day to think it over. And the government informant said, "I'm going to give you an entire day to think it over. Next day, tomorrow, I'm going to come back, and we're going to find out if you have anything against Hassan, because we really need something." Anything you might have, and we'll make it look like anything. Just give me something and I'll help you exaggerate it. She came in the next day and she said, "I have nothing, absolutely nothing against Hassan due to and I'm only making these false testimonies against him due to extreme envy." We know for a fact she confessed to the government informant that it was due to extreme envy, since after she got caught, it went into extreme greed, since she knew that the courts and the government already knew that it was due to extreme envy that she had fabricated all these lies against me. And so as soon as she gets caught and finds out who the government informant was, she moves on to extreme greed of basically trying to advertise her abnormal looking daughter to me, who's way too young for me in the first place, all day, night long, asking me to marry her, despite me saying that I am not interested in your weirdo looking daughter. Please stop advertising her to me. She would still continue on to advertising her abnormal looking ugly daughter to me, only out of extreme greed, since she realized that the government and the courts basically knew that it was due to extreme envy that she was making the false testimonies. And now, since the government already knew that it was due to extreme envy, there was no point in hiding it. And so she went on to basically trying to force me to marry her abnormal looking ugly daughter all day and night long, whom I have absolutely no interest in whatsoever. Way too young for me, abnormal looking ugly daughter of hers. Anyways, she confessed to the government informant that, so after the government informant pretended to be someone that was really good at making lies and exaggerating them, what she did was she confesses to the government informant on the very first day, says, "I have nothing but lies against Hassan." And then on the second day, obviously she starts fabricating in front of the government informant, showing exactly how envious this woman was, that to the point that she couldn't even literally, like, her entire face would change every time she would hear my name, mainly due to extreme envy of the fact that I was a person who was born with a brain savant and not one of her kids. Yes, so basically, yeah. she confesses this to the government informant, which is why she kept advertising her daughter to me, one only one, the as I just showed you right now. So basically, yeah, she also, now the government informant pretends to be someone who's really good at exaggerating fabricated false testimonies, due to which she gives him all the remaining lies for month of January. Basically, she gives it to him and she says, look, I have these lies, I need you to fabricate and exaggerate these as well. And the government informant obviously asks her, is there any truth to this? And she says, no, these are complete and total, absolutely fabricated lies that I made out with my brother, who is my dad, the Greedy Framer, to make sure that my brain savant money that my dad, the Greedy Framer, cannot get, my mother cannot get either. And so she gave it to him, and so now my dad, the Greedy Framer, has only one of two options. Well, actually, sorry, only one option left, which is try to exaggerate a short story, since the other option that he had in his pocket that he wanted really badly to keep and hold on to were the early January lies, due to which now he calls Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother all day long and says, you betrayed me over and over again, only due to the fact that she is the person who gave away to the government informant the fact that these were complete and total lies and nothing else. So now you basically have the short story. Now the short story is basically my dad, the Greedy Framer, claiming to the government informant, it's claiming to the court that someone might have done something bad when I was overseas. The thing that the courts have to remember is the fact that when I was overseas, I was under my mother's custody. She was paying for my basic necessities like food, clothing, transportation, exam fees, notes getting photocopied, me going back over to her house, going back overseas to my overseas pharmacy school, and then after a while only sleeping on the side of the streets near my overseas pharmacy school, or my my mother's apartment where I am right now, obviously. And I've always been with her. I only had her custody with me only throughout my entire life since I was 5, obviously. So yes, so basically that is what happened. I have never even lived in the same country as my dad, the Greedy Framer, never even talked to him on the phone, making it impossible for someone like that to have had any influence on my life or environment whatsoever. And obviously now that he found out about my brain savant, he's been running after me like a crazed lunatic, only to obviously lock it up, obviously, and then while at the same time greedily finding all these, asking me if I'm willing to commit incest with his sisters or not. The really weird one was he had sexual perversions for his own in-laws, due to which he was hoping that I would never find out that the ads that he was sending me were for his in-laws. That way, by the end, I would just ignore those ads, keep on coming on my TV screen, and he would pretend by calling those in-laws saying that, oh, Ehsan never said no, which means that he might be interested in you, so can you commit incest with him, and that way we'll get money, to try to make it look like he was just doing it for money, when in fact he was doing it because he had sexual perversions for his own in-laws. We know this for a fact because I figured out that he was trying to advertise his in-laws. I completely and totally, fully rejected immediately, letting law enforcement know that if everyone in town is running after me after my brain savant gets freed, what are the chances I'm going to go anywhere near my dad, the Greedy Framer, who's fabricated so many lies against me November 20th, early January, early April, again and again, only to enviously lock up my brain savant who wants to fabricate and lie about me. What are the chances I would go anywhere near him? Not at all. So what are the chances I'm going to go sleep with one of his in-laws, that even if I was perverted, I'd just let people in my own town run after me after my brain savant would get freed, when in fact I would never do that. I would just get married like normal human beings do. But I was just saying, like, obviously I rejected it right away as soon as I figured it out. I rejected it a little earlier than he expected, due to which now he said, oh my God, now I can't ask my in-laws and find out if they're willing to sleep around or not, so I could find out if I could sleep around with them or not. He goes and asks them after I already rejected them, clearly proving from fact and evidence is the fact that he only had sexual perversions for himself, and knew that I wouldn't even go anywhere near him, much less his in-laws. And he was trying to use me and my name to try to run after them. As soon as I rejected his in-laws, he went ahead and he ran after them himself. That's how perverted this individual is, my dad, the Greedy Framer. And obviously he called and said, I was hoping you would commit incest with Hassan, and then Hassan's brain savant gonna get free. He's gonna give us a lot of money, and then we could both split it between each other. And obviously, his in-laws, who are not mentally challenged, yell the crap out of him, saying, "Why would you even ask me something like this?" They know I hate him. They also know that everyone in town was running after me. They all know about my brain savant, and after my brain savant gets freed, I have no need to run anywhere to anyone's psychotic house, to anyone's in-laws. And so it was his own sexual perversion that he was asking about, clearly proving also from the fact that I had already rejected his in-laws and his stupid incest offer again. But I rejected a little earlier than he wanted, and now that I already rejected it, he had no option but to get his sexual perversion asking question thing done. So he called and asked anyways. But yeah, it was pretty funny. But anyways, the only thing my dad, the greedy framer, now has, since he's keep on calling Ibrahim's envious greedy mother, saying that she betrayed him because she gave away the early January lies over to the government informant. So the only thing my dad, the greedy framer, now has is to say that is for that psychotic individual to make up the short story for how someone could have done something bad anywhere while I was overseas, and say that I would have done it as well if I wasn't overseas, when in fact it has nothing to do with it. He has a much higher chance of saying that I am guilty due to the fact that my dad, the greedy framer, in 2011 was sending people to go join terror groups before he was tipped off, due to which the circus was closed out immediately, and due to which his visa has been banned from the US and England, due to the fact that he'd been doing this for a very long time before 2011, and due to which the FBI would be forced to follow him around every time he would come over to the US before 2011. Now his visa is obviously banned from both the US and England because of that. So my dad, the greedy framer, basically that psychotic and deranged individual, basically, yes, he had a much higher chance to use that short story against me and say that it's my fault that he was sending people to terror groups around me in 2011, due to which I should be convicted for that due to me not reporting it, when in fact I did not report it because I knew law enforcement, and I knew for a fact that they tipped off my dad, the greedy framer, obviously, which is why the circus closed out overnight immediately. So yes, then this short story that has absolutely nothing to do with me, where someone could have done something bad around me, which would never be sending people to terror groups, I don't think so, but whatever it could be by whomever, I have nothing to do with. If I was overseas, he makes up the story where I was overseas and someone could have done something. I have nothing to do with it. And even before I went overseas to study, when I was under my mother's custody, she was paying for my basic necessities like my food, clothing, transportation, exam fees, my photo state shop notes getting photocopied, and pretty much everything, talking to me over the phone every single day, and calling me back and forward from her house every time I had to. Yeah, so I had absolutely nothing to do with my dad, the greedy framer, ever in my life, no matter where I would have been at. And so, yes, this short story has had nothing to do with me whatsoever. And even before I went overseas, I was living with my mother, and as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I have never even remotely been seen in any settings where anything even remotely considered bad was ever said around me, much less a crime scene. So this notion that I would have, and I lived with my mother for years before I went overseas, and after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, the facts and evidences will clearly prove that I never had to go to the PAL Center anymore, which was a free daycare center for children who could not afford daycare, or any law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey adult supervising me anymore, after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, ever again. till this very day today, I've never even remotely been present in any settings where anything you remotely consider bad could ever be said around me. And I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, and then I stayed. I didn't need adult supervision for years before I went overseas. Clearly proven from facts and evidences from those years that I never even remotely seen in any settings where anything even remotely considered bad was ever said around me, much less a crime scene. And a crime scene I've never been in ever in my entire life, except for that one incident in 2011. My dad, the greedy farmer, was obviously sending people to terror groups, which obviously I didn't report due to the fact that he was obviously tipped off. Law enforcement is not going to sit there and watch that over again, or else they will get into a lot of trouble themselves. So they had one of two options: either investigate or tip off, and they never investigated anything, so they just tipped him off as well. They just thought, well, we never investigated anything else, so we might as well just tip him off as well. So that's exactly what they did. So there was no point in reporting it. So the short story, by the way, it has absolutely nothing to do with me. I would have never been anywhere near this short story scene or the person who is involved in this short story at all. It would have been whomever it would have been. The facts and evidence clearly prove that ever since I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, I haven't even remotely been present in any settings where anything you remotely considered bad could be said around me. And I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity for years before I went overseas or anywhere else. And even when I was overseas, I was only living with my own single mother, since she was the one supervising me and providing for me. So for those years when after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity and before I went overseas, clearly proved from facts and evidences that I haven't even remotely been present in any settings where anything remotely considered bad could have been said around me ever again after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, whether it would be law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey that they're desperately trying to use right now, or even if there would be anyone at the PAL Center, which there was not. Excellent people, police officers, adult supervising children to try to help out single mothers working in fast food restaurants so that they wouldn't have can't pay for daycare, so that they would actually take care of it. So yeah, basically yeah. So this journal is basically now that the short story is done, this journal is basically going to talk about my dad, the greedy farmer, and how he is basically has already been kicked out of this trial. And he's not allowed in this trial. He's not supposed to be in this trial anymore. He's not someone that should be in this trial at all, mainly due to the fact that he has already been kicked out of this trial. Mainly what ended up happening, what ended up happening was, now before we get into that, the one thing that I have to let the courts know about is the fact that I'm just going to get into this. November 20th, he begged his former sisters and law enforcement to fabricate that false testimony against me. He tried once again on November 1st saying, "Can you ask Hassan to go with me?" Obviously I rejected immediately. He's a very envious, disgusting, deranged, delusional, psychotic man, and he would obviously only try to fabricate something against me to make sure my mother cannot get any of the Brain Savant money, or he would try to greedily get it through his disgusting ways. And you saw all the incest requests for his own sisters, and this in-laws thing was obviously not for me, it was for himself, and we know this for a fact due to the fact that he immediately called afterwards as soon as I rejected him, thinking that I would never even find out that he was advertising his in-laws to me, and in the end he would just act like I didn't want to reject them, which is why I wasn't saying something, when in fact as soon as I found out it was his in-laws, I quickly rejected them immediately, letting law enforcement know that there's no way, if I was perverted, I would have gone with one of the people in my own neighborhood or town if I was perverted, but I'm not going to do that. Now, you have to understand the fact that even right now, Kelly from law enforcement is having my neighbor who is a married woman, and she would do things like she would open up her door and make creaking noises from her door and just open it up and leave it open like right next door from my apartment, mainly due to the fact that that woman and her husband have mental illness issues, and they think that I'm going to run after her for some reason. And we know for a fact Kelly from law enforcement is asking her to do this, only due to the fact that Kelly from law enforcement knows that her psychotic plans to try to frame me have all been caught. And so she is going to run after me like a gold digger, since she is a gold digger, and that's what gold diggers do. And the way she's planning on doing this is by having me sleep with her, having me sleep with my neighbor to try to make it out with me that way, so that she could run after me. Right now, a little while ago, I was sitting with my mother, and Kelly from law enforcement is having my neighbor, that same neighbor with the two dogs, whom I've said I'm not interested in. She's having that neighbor, telling that neighbor that I'm sitting in my living room, and she's having that neighbor literally only a few minutes ago, having that neighbor open up her main door and like creak it like over and over again, like keep creaking that door. And I told her before that I am not interested in you, lady. Like, I'm not interested in you. I have someone in mind, and I'm very loyal. These promises are very sacred. I take that very seriously. Of all the people, I think one thing that Miss Hopkins would know is that I always do my homework and I always do the right thing. I'm a very loyal individual, and I made a promise to my wife, and I don't do these kinds of things. But yeah, and I told Kelly that this week, and I said, get the heck off my face, and that's why I closed my blinds, and which is exactly why right now I'm letting the courts and everyone know that this occurred only a few minutes ago, where Kelly from law enforcement was having my neighbor, literally, who's a married woman, by the way. She used to have her walk her dogs outside my balcony. She right now, only a few minutes ago, what Kelly from law enforcement did was, I was sitting in the living room, and Kelly from law enforcement told that neighbor of mine to just open your door up and have it creaking. So yeah, my dad, the greedy framer, knows very well that I do not need to go 50 million miles away to go run after any of his in-laws or anything like that, who are all a bunch of ugly duckling weirdos anyways, and I'm not interested in them. But the fact of the matter is, my dad, the greedy framer, had his own sexual perversions for them, and as soon as he realized that I rejected them and said, no, if I was perverted, I would run after people in my own town who know about my brain savant. After it would get freed, I would just run after them instead of going with some psychotic delusional maniac like my dad, the greedy framer's in-laws. Like, why would I do that? But I'm not perverted. I would get married, obviously, and I already have someone in mind. But I'm just saying, if I was, and as soon as I rejected his in-laws, he calls them right after I reject them, realizing that there's no way that I would even be interested in his in-laws. Like, why would I be? Thinking that, oh my God, now I can't ask my in-laws anymore if they're the kind to be sleeping around anymore, and I can't find out if I can run after them myself for my own sexual perversions anymore. And then my dad, the greedy framer, thinks, well, I know this, my in-laws don't, so I'm going to call them anyways. And my dad, the greedy framer, as soon as I reject his in-laws, calls them immediately afterwards, after I reject them, clearly proving that this was his plan for his own sexual perversion, hoping that I wouldn't even realize that he was advertising his in-laws to me, and then he would run after them pretending like I didn't reject them because I was interested in something crazy like that. But I realized it, and as soon as I realized it, I rejected them, due to which my dad, the greedy framer, now didn't have an excuse to call them, and he calls them immediately and says, Hassan looks like he's interested in committing incest with you. Do you think could commit incest with Hassan, and then that way we'll get our money, and then I'll split it with you 50-50. Yeah, this guy has some serious issues and problems. I think you know that by now. These are his own sexual perversions, and clearly, if of all the people, like, seriously. But these kinds of things occurred throughout the entire month of February and March. Blackmail price tags, incest requests, all these things, and he got nothing out of me. Now, the thing about it is, November 20th, he had fabricated through his Framer's sister against me. Then early January were lies that were already confessed to being lies to the government informant. And then you also have, then after that, on February 10th, he's told that the courts know that these were all lies because they were confessed to the government informant. So the entire month of February and March, all he does is send me blackmail price tags and incest requests the entire 2 months. Now, early April 2026, what this man starts to do, now he gets really aggressive in early April 2026. He gets very aggressive due to the fact that he realizes that there's no incest request or no blackmail price tag that I'm going to, not even like 10 cents that I would literally agree to after my brain savant gets freed, since he'd already gotten caught lying way too many times. But since I wasn't agreeing to any of the blackmail price tags, basically for millions of euros that he was sending me, and forget millions of euros, I wouldn't agree to like 10 cents for anyone. And the incest requests weren't working. He knew that for a fact. He goes back to court and he basically abuses everyone in court. Now, the courts have to remember the fact that he had already been caught lying majorly twice. November 20th, 2025, which was a major lie and fabricated false testimony against me. It shook up the entire news media, everyone in the news media, including Governor Josh Green on November 27th. Now, you got to remember, Governor Josh Green on November 27th puts aside the country's vaccine issue to deal with this November 20th false testimony that my dad, the greedy Framer, begged his Framer sister to Ibrahim's envious, greedy mother to make against me. Now, the Governor Josh Green of Hawaii, who was dealing with the vaccine issues at the time, has to put aside the country's vaccine confusion to deal with this. And he says, confusion is the enemy. We have to get to the bottom of this. We have to get to the bottom. Why was he saying this? Mainly due to the fact that law enforcement had already made numerous false testimonies before, including the wedding crime that they tried to fabricate against me in 2023. And so it looked like they could have been lying. Well, at the same time, obviously, I was saying that they're lying. And my dad, the greedy Framer's sisters, Ibrahim's mother, and my dad, the greedy Framer, saying, no, we're telling the truth. We really did witness Hassan commit the crime. We witnessed Hassan commit the crime for November 20th. We're not making a mistake. You have to believe us. We're telling you the truth. What we said on November 20th was true. We witnessed him commit the crime. Why don't you believe us? And this is how my dad, the greedy Framer, and his Framer sisters were acting like, and my dad, the greedy Framer, was calling them and telling them, you have to do this, you have to act like this, you have to act like this, you have to do this, you have to make sure that his brain savant gets free, or else I'm not going to be really happy if him and his mother have all this money and I'm sitting here jobless. Basically, yes. So my dad, the greedy Framer, basically what he ends up doing is, yeah, so they basically aggressively hold on to that false testimony for November 20th. So basically, yes. Now, what ends up happening is then they get caught, mainly due to the fact that it was a government informant. But even before all of that, Ibrahim's envious mother basically slips up on the testimony stand, revealing that she fabricated it. But even after that, she keeps going to court and saying, I really did witness Hassan commit the crime. You have to believe me. I witnessed Hassan commit the crime. Why don't you believe me? So she was saying that, basically claiming that she had a slip up on the testimony stand and she really did witness me commit the crime, when she did not know that the crime was fabricated in front of the government informant and the crime inciting did not even exist. So yes, and then on top of this, they were aggressively pushing forward their January lies against me. Very aggressively, my dad was trying his best to give me not a life sentence, but a death sentence, to make sure that my brain savant could not get freed at any cost whatsoever. So basically, on February 10th, he's told that the courts were aware that it was these were all lies. Due to which, on literally February 11th at 12:22, February 11th at basically 12:22 a.m. he texts me saying, it was so nice to hear from you after so long, even though the entire day of February 10th, we were arguing in court, and I was telling the court that this man is a pathological liar and not very nice what was going on. So that same night, February 11th at 3:17 a.m., he sends me this, which is basically an incest request with his sister Farah's name written right over here, this psychotic individual right over here, and Sunny Leone, which is a porn star, right over there, and he's told told February 11th that at 3:17 a.m. that this is an open advertisement for incest, and yet look at the date on this one. This is March 7th, and he sent it again to me on March 7th, despite being told February 11th that it was an open advertisement for incest. And yet, not only this. He was also doing other things like sending sexually explicit pictures of women resembling his other sister, Afreen, only 3 days after March 7th, starting March 10th, and every single day afterwards. He was also sending me sexually explicit pictures of his sister, Afreen, so it was sent on March 10th, and then every single day afterwards. This is, look at the date on there, this is March 13th. And yes, and so that is March. It was already labeled as an open advertisement for incest on March 10th, and that was March 13th. I showed you. This is March 17th, and he's still sending these not blackmail, but these open advertisements for incest. Now, except for this, he was also sending me blackmail price tags, mainly for millions of dollars, due to him thinking that my brain savant's about to get free. This is April the 4th. It's a house in Mayfair, London. You also have March the 1st. So obviously he gets caught February 10th. So this is March the 1st, 2026, 8:32 p.m. This is also an apartment in Mayfair, London. April the 13th. This is also a house in Mayfair, London, which is literally like the billionaire's neighborhood. And so, yeah, my dad, the greedy framer, obviously he was full of these. So basically, the entire month of February and March, after the courts have already witnessed him lie over and over again, very aggressively in January, saying, I understand that November 20th might have been a lie, but right now I'm telling you the truth. My sister really witnessed Hassan commit this crime. You have to hear about this. And he literally aggressively pushed forward more lies against me throughout the entire month of January, all the way until February 10th. And then as soon as he's told by the courts that they were aware that these were also lies, now the courts witness him sending me all these incest requests that I just showed you for all of his sisters, basically, and also blackmail price tags for basically mansions in London, Mayfair, London, where he cannot go. He's blacklisted from going to either England or the U.S. He's a criminal who was sending people to join terror groups, and one of them ended up being a government informant. Turns out I wasn't lying after all, now was I? And so the FBI would be forced to follow him around every time he would come over to the U.S. Before he was blacklisted and banned, and they went over to Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother, and she would tell the FBI, she would say, get out of my property, you are harassing me, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So basically, yes, this is his story, and now he knows that I know about the Mayfair, and he's not allowed anywhere near that billionaire neighborhood of Mayfair, London. So now he just sends me blackmail price tags in general, or the money transfer ads. Anyways, so after witnessing my dad, the greedy framer, lie on November 20th to give me a death sentence through his framer sisters, then after the courts witnessed him lie against me throughout the entire month of January to try to give me a death sentence, not a life sentence, but a death sentence. On February 10th, when he's told that the courts are aware that these are lies, he does not argue against them for 1 second, mainly due to the fact that he realized that they were right, and that they were obviously lies that he had fabricated with his framer sisters. And so he does not argue against this being a lie for 1 second. You got to remember the fact that the level of guilt over here. The man spent the entire month of January arguing against me and saying that I know November 20th was a lie, but this is true. What I'm about to tell you, my framer sister really did witness Hassan commit, only for at the moment on February 10th, 2026, when he's told that these are lies that the courts were aware of, he does not argue against it being truthful for 1 second. He does not argue against it being truthful for 1 second. Instead, the man goes straight like, oh, okay, well, now that you figured out, he immediately texts me at 12:22 a.m., 22 minutes past midnight, February 11th, then the incest requests start coming, then the blackmail price tags start coming, So basically, February 17th, 3:02 a.m., he's informed by the government, basically the fact that they're going to let my brain savant getting freed, and my brain savant getting freed is inevitable, due to which this psychotic deranged individual sends me a blackmail price tag for a $25 million Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is how much? $500,000? This psychotic deranged individual wants a $25 million Rolls Royce with his 5 foot long beard that he's grown for the past 50 years as a sign of being religious, and there are kids that are dying in Africa who don't have 10 cents for meal. This psychotic deranged individual wants a $25 million Rolls Royce, is how psychotic and deranged he is. So basically, after seeing him make fabrications and lies against me on November 20th, and begging his former sister to make this fabrication and lie against me on November 20th, 2025, they see this deranged psychotic individual, my dad, the greedy framer, make fabricated false testimonies and lies against me throughout the entire month of January, very aggressively, and saying it like, I know November 20th was a lie, but these ones are not lies, and my sister really did witness Hassan commit this crime, only to enviously lock up my brain savant so my mother cannot get the money that he cannot get. And on February 10th, as soon as he's told by the courts that they're aware that these were lies, he doesn't spend 1 second arguing against them, because arguing against them for even a second after it's already been confessed to being a lie is a waste of time. So what does he do? 22 minutes past midnight that same night, February 11th, 22 minutes past midnight, he starts texting me, so nice to hear from you after so long. The only hearing we were having the entire day of February 10th was arguing in court, where I was telling the courts that this man is a pathological liar, he's obsessed with money, and he's only doing this for to lock up my brain savant so that my mother cannot get any of the money due to his extreme envy. So basically, yeah, that is what happened. Now, he thinks that, man, I'm not going to waste any time arguing against confessed lie. That would be stupid. I got to go find out if Hassan's going to share any of his brain savant money or not. So he immediately, after midnight, by the way, 3:17 a.m., he's sending me a porn star's picture, the one I showed you, with his sister Farah's name on it, with a porn star. Yes, and yeah, at 12:22 a.m. first he said, text me, so nice to hear from you after so long. Then 3:17 a.m. This is from March 7th, by the way, but it was first sent on 3:17 a.m. from February 11th, and yes, he basically starts sending incest requests, and he's told February 11th, 3:17 a.m. this is incest request, and yet that picture I just showed you was from March 7th, clearly proven from facts and evidence is the fact that March 7th he was clearly aware of what he was doing. He couldn't care less. So yes, basically, yeah, that is what has been going on. Now, the fact of the matter is just the fact that the courts see him fabricating on November 20th, then the entire month of January until February 10th. And then the courts see him the entire month of February and March sending me blackmail price tags and incest requests, only for the courts to then in April see him going back to court, except this time he's very aggressive because he realizes that I'm not going to accept any incest requests or any blackmail price tags for any money, not much less millions of euros or anything of that sort of nature. But yeah. So then what ends up happening is he abuses the courtroom very brutally, very, very brutally. He is abusing everyone in the courtroom. Yes. So this part of my journal is basically talking about this as well. Yeah. And by the way, I have to let everyone know that Kelly from law enforcement is stimulating my penis right now. She does this only because she's a gold digger, and even when I'm sitting in my living room, she has her friend, which is my neighbor, open up her door and creak that door to try to encourage me to go and sleep with her and try to seduce me so that I would sleep with her and she could make out with me that way. It's totally wrong. First of all, I'm already taken. Second of all, this is not part of her job description to be trying to find a husband for herself, okay? And it's totally inappropriate and not something that she's supposed to be doing. Obviously, we know for a fact that this is not due to any James Bond work that she's trying to do, but only due to greed for money, since she is a gold digger. And yesterday, on August 20th at 2:25 p.m., I can guarantee that the court found out something about my brain savant, where they fully agreed that my brain savant is definitely the most profitable, including instantaneous photographic memory, innovation, and focusing, and that my powers increase over time giving me thousands of times better power than any normal human being can ever imagine having. Plus, those powers increase over time. It makes it extremely rare and profitable, due to which yesterday, August 20th, 2025, at 2:25 p.m., Kelly from law enforcement was basically touching my tongue, making my rectum feel wet, doing all these kinds of really dirty things at that time, August 20th at 2:25 p.m., right when the courts came up with the realization that I definitely do have the most profitable brain savant in the world right now, along with it being literally the most rare one, due to it increasing in power over time, clearly proving that Kelly from law enforcement only runs after me like a gold digger and not as doing James Bond work or anything of that sort of nature, since she only does all these inappropriate things whenever these revelations come out in court, when in fact I made it clear to her over and over again that I'm taken and I'm very loyal, and I already have someone in mind. Thank you very much for asking. I don't know how else to say this. I was sitting in my living room and she had my neighbor creak up her door. Like, if I was interested, if I didn't have someone, like, I would let you know. It's not that serious. Like, I would literally let you know, and I'd just be like, yes, I'm interested. When am I going? Sort of thing. But I'm not. And I already told her that I already have someone and I love her very much. Like, I'm not interested. Anyways, so after all of that, my dad, the greedy framer, what ends up happening is he's seen fabricating on November 20th the entire month of January until February 10th. And then after February 10th, as soon as he's told by the courts observe him very carefully, where this psychotic, deranged individual, my dad, the greedy framer, instead of arguing against his lies for even 1 second, realizes that these are confessed lies by his framer sisters, whom he now says, you betrayed me, due to them obviously telling the government informant about those lies. So the entire month of February and March, starting February 10th, all my dad, the greedy framer, does, and the courts witness this and observe him very carefully, is he's sending me incest requests every single day, along with blackmail price tags for millions of euros to try to get a deal made in terms of money for millions of euros in exchange for incest, whatever is going on with this deranged, psychotic individual's mind. Anyways, in early April, my dad, the greedy framer, after everything the courts have observed about him, goes back to court and goes back very aggressively. He brutally abuses every single person in the courtroom while yelling at them, screaming, and the courts in the end of the day, in end of April, tell him, look, Mr. Ansar, we're going to go through every single phone conversation, sir, but if we find out that you lied while abusing everyone in court again, you're never going to narrate ever again. And guess what? Every single statement he made in early April while abusing everyone in the courtroom were complete and total lies from the facts and evidences retrieved from the phone conversations. Not one statement was true, and he abused everyone in court and aggressively made them, only due to the fact that he realized, with me saying it and through a brain scanner, I had no interest in committing incest with anyone, nor of giving him illegal assurances of a single penny, much less millions of euros that he was sending me, or those Mayfair apartments that he can't go to anyways. So if I buy a billionaire's apartment in London Mayfair, the only people going there are me and my mother, because he can't go there anyways. So yeah, but he understood this, due to which he was very aggressively abusing everyone in courtroom in month of April, while very aggressively basically lying against me in April again. Now, he was told by the courts at this time that, look, Mr. Ansari, we're going to go through every single phone conversation there is, and if we find out that you lied to us again, we're never going to let you narrate ever again. And guess what? He lied in early April, every single day in early April, meaning that the courts have already banned him from being able to narrate in my trial. You have to understand the fact that when a person is seen lying against the accused once or twice, they're not allowed in that courtroom ever again to narrate ever again. He's been caught lying numerous times over and over again. Even after April, he was calling me frantically on May 2nd, 2026 at 12:48 p.m. because he was caught lying majorly in a big false testimony against me again. Someone who's been caught lying this many times, especially after they were already given a warning and they abused everyone in court despite being given a warning, and the courts had to retrieve every single phone conversation, spend so much money on a government informant, and then spend so much money on manpower retrieving phone conversations because of one person and aggressively made lies. That person should not not be allowed to narrate in my trial ever again, please. My dad, the greedy framer, not only forced the courts and the government and put a government informant in there, he also forced the courts to go through every single phone conversation there was, needing so much manpower, taxpayer dollars being spent for this one liar after he sent me so many incest requests and blackmail price tags for millions of euros. And he did this, and he aggressively made these lies throughout April. And the courts told my dad, the greedy framer, look, Mr. Ansari, we're going to have to go through every single phone conversation there is, but if we find out you abuse everyone in this courtroom while making these lies in April, you are never going to be allowed in this courtroom ever again. He was already told this. And yet he was still making lies even after April. May the 2nd at 12:48 p.m., he's frantically calling me again because he's caught lying again. But you have to understand the amount of taxpayer money that this psychotic, deranged, delusional individual, my dad, the greedy framer, has already caused the courtroom. He's had the courtroom spend money on government informant for him to get caught. He's had the courtroom spend money on manpower to achieve every single phone conversation there was, so that, and then even before then, he was told that if we find out you were lying again, you will never be allowed again. And guess what? Every single thing he said was in April was complete and total lie from the facts and evidence retrieved from the phone conversation. And yet the courts still let him lie again. Because on May the 2nd at 12:48 p.m., this psychotic, deranged individual, my dad, the greedy framer, is frantically calling me May 2nd, 2026 at 12:48 p.m. only because he's been caught lying again and he wants to know if I'm still going to give him money or not from my Brain Savant money. The courts have to understand that when a person is caught lying against EQs one time, they're not allowed to lie anymore. They're not allowed to narrate anymore. He's made numerous lies over and over and over and over and over and over again. Not only that, he's been lying all day long. Yes, and now he has got his short story that he's been lying about. You have to understand the fact that the people he's quoting now very aggressively are a bunch of liars as well. You have people like Adamji, who has been caught lying over and over and over and over again. The entire month of July, all Adamji did was lie about me over and over again. Not only did he lie about me, he would also say he would say things like, I'm very envious of Hassan. And people that live overseas, I wish that he would have gotten kicked out of that country and forced to come back over here. Adamji said this with his own mouth, that he was extremely envious of me, and this was the reason why, because I lived overseas, and he wished that I would get kicked out along with everyone living overseas and forced back to their own countries. This is what Adamji said with his own mouth. It's his motive. The entire month of July, Adamji has lied and done nothing else. All Adamji did throughout the entire month of July is lie after lie after lie after lie. And then he was playing a game. Abdullah gets caught with the group chat false testimony. He sends the person in law enforcement overseas who gets the monthly money every month, Adamji and Maruk. Adamji and Maruk, then make lies against me throughout the entire month of July. And then after they're caught making numerous lies against me throughout the entire month of July, they start playing a game of deception against the trial where they say, we've gotten caught lying. Abdullah's gotten caught lying with the group chat. Maruk's gotten caught lying with Adamji. But he hasn't gotten caught lying. He wants to testify. You have to listen to his testimony. And then on August the 7th, they have this fifth person, except for the person in law enforcement overseas, this fifth person make false testimonies against me where Adamji is seen fabricating lies and false testimonies with this individual that were complete and total lies and fabrications. And now my dad, the greedy framer, wants to get revenge for getting yelled at by his in-laws for having his sexual perversions caught, and him being told by me he won't ever get a single penny out of me. He doesn't deserve a single penny out of that Brain Savant money, and now he wants revenge. And so the only way he could do so is not by fabricating lies, since he's already been caught, but by quoting another liar, which is Adamji. You have to understand the fact that the entire month of July, Adamji was caught lying over and over and over and over again. And then on August 7th, he plays a game of deception with the trial and says, I've been caught lying numerous times. Maruk's been caught lying numerous times. Abdullah's been caught lying with the group chat false testimony that almost gave his son a death sentence. He hasn't. He wants to testify. And on August the 7th, Adamji had a fifth person, except for the person in law enforcement overseas, testify against me, saying all these all these terrible things about me, about how I'm low IQ, dumb, stupid, bad exam taker, this and that. All these things, complete and total lies against me. Okay, you have to understand the fact that I'm not playing benefit of doubt with Adamji. The fact of the matter is, right now they went through every single conversation thing that they have me under these surveillance equipment that literally, if I whisper something out of my mouth, it would go in record for my life. It's on record. You know this for a fact. I could go to Antarctica and I can't unlock these ears, which means that Adamji, I'm not playing the benefit of the doubt over here. What I'm trying to say is it's not possible for Adamji to be telling the truth over here, considering the fact that every single second I was overseas, every single whisper I made while these brain savant, my brain savant was locked up, every single whisper is on record right now. And Adamji, of all people, should know this, mainly due to the fact that they went through the records of every single second I was overseas to try to find evidence of me being either drug addicted or sexually perverted, and also due to the fact that after going through the record of every single second I was overseas, what ended up happening was they didn't find any evidence of sexual perversion or drug addiction from me ever in my life, due to which now what ended up happening was all they found was my eagerness and keenness for learning, where all I did while I was overseas was study all day and night long. That's all they found of me doing overseas. All I did all day night long while I was overseas was study. I studied really, really hard because I knew for a fact my mother worked really hard for me my entire life, and I had to bring her back that degree, and all I did all day and night long was study. That is all I did, except for on the weekends I would watch The Men Who Built America, and that was it. That's the only thing I would take a break for, and the facts and evidence has clearly proved this. So Adamji on August the 7th said, man, we didn't find anything against Hassan despite all the seconds we went through, every single second on file. Now I'm gonna have to make a new false testimony, but I can't because I've been caught lying too many times. Adamji by then had gotten caught lying way too many times. So on August the 7th, he takes another person. He says, I've been caught lying numerous times. Maruk's been caught lying numerous times. Abdullah's been caught lying with the group chat. He hasn't. He wants to testify. He gets a fifth person, except for the person in law enforcement overseas, who was the fourth person, to testify against me on August the 7th. Complete and total lies. Everything was a lie. That text message he used was a lie. It was only one text message that person had ever sent me. There's no record of me ever talking to that person ever in real life or online or at any time there was. Now, Adamji, of all the people, should know about these surveillance equipment, mainly because this surveillance equipment is the thing that literally caught Adamji throughout the entire month of July. Which means that on August the 7th, when he was fabricating this lie with this person on August 7th, he was whispering to this person to make sure that the surveillance equipment could not hear him. Guess what? The surveillance equipment got the whispers as well. I'm not joking. Which is why on August the 7th, he got caught. Which means that if my ears were locked up the entire time I was overseas, and my brain savant was locked up the entire time I was overseas, even my whispers are on record right now as we speak. They could retrieve them, and they just did a few weeks ago. They retrieved every single whisper I made, even if I made it in Antarctica using this surveillance equipment, which means that Adamji's testimony against me is not something I'm going to play benefit of the doubt on. Oh, there's no evidence against me due to which I have to be innocent. No, it's impossible for Adamji to be right, mainly due to the fact that if the surveillance equipment has my ears locked up and every single whisper is on record right now as we speak, and they retrieved every single second a few weeks ago to try to prove that I'm a drug addict or sexually perverted, only to find out I had keenness and eagerness for learning and studying, and that's literally all I did the entire time I was overseas, except for on the weekends I would watch The Men Who Built America, and that was literally it. All I did when I was overseas the entire time I would study. Adamji had to fabricate another false testimony against me, except on August the 7th, he knew about the surveillance equipment. He just didn't know how good it was, due to which he was literally, what he was doing was, he was, on August the 7th, he was whispering, and even his whispers got caught, due to which, there's, now Adamji, of all people, should know how good this surveillance equipment is, and the fact that even my whispers are on record, due to which which Adamji's testimony cannot be true. My dad, the greedy framer, is quoting Adamji right now just to get revenge. When on August 18th, only 3 days ago, on August 18th, my dad, the greedy framer, has already been caught lying against me to make me look like I was dumb, stupid, low IQ, bad exam taker. Every single thing my dad, the greedy framer, said on August the 18th was a complete and total lie. He fabricated everything only to get revenge from me due to the fact that he knows he won't ever get a single penny out of me. So he was making me look like I was dumb, stupid, low IQ, all these things after he had just begged his in-laws to commit incest with me in exchange for illegal assurance of money for my brain savant money, which he claimed was due to my brain savant about to get freed, when in fact we know it was his own sexual perversion, which is exactly what he wants this my brain savant money for at the end of the day. So yes, my dad, the greedy framer, has just gotten caught on August the 18th, 3 days ago, fabricating false testimony against me, claiming I was low IQ, dumb, stupid, bad exam taker, terrible at prepping for exams, and now that he wasn't able to get his revenge from me by claiming all these things due to it being complete and total lie, now he's quoting someone who's already been caught lying on August the 7th, claiming that I was dumb, stupid, low IQ, all these things about me, only to get revenge from me, knowing that I would not give him any of my brain savant money. You have to understand that this man, my dad, the greedy framer, is a pathological liar. He's lied about everything. He's not a medical doctor. He's never been a medical doctor in any country in the world. You need to ask law enforcement about the infographics incident where he was kicked out of a hospital for trying to scam them into thinking he was a medical doctor, when the hospital realized he's not a medical doctor in any country in the world. They kicked him out. Then he lied to the courts that he went to a university in Ireland. There's no record of him even going to their website. Forget going to that university, stepping in there. Not even their website. He's a pathological liar. He's hell-bent on getting revenge from me, and he wants revenge before my brain savant would even get freed, so that when my brain savant is freed and I have all this money, then he's already gotten revenge from me by tricking people and lying to them, like how he did 3 days ago on August the 18th, to make me look like I was dumb, stupid, low IQ, bad exam taker, only to get revenge from me for rejecting him and his incest request and the illegal assurance of millions of euros that he asked me for, which he would not have asked me if he really thought I was dumb, stupid, low IQ, bad exam taker, terrible at giving exams. He's only trying to get revenge from me, and now that he's gotten caught fabricating himself on August the 18th, trying to claim that I was dumb, stupid, low IQ, bad exam taker, terrible at giving exams, every single thing he said on August the 18th found to be a complete and total lie. Now he's quoting another lie, which is Adamji, who Adamji was trying to whisper to another person on August the 7th, claiming that I was dumb, stupid, bad exam taker, low IQ, terrible at giving exams, and even his whispers got caught. Now my dad, the greedy framer, is quoting Adamji. This is exactly why liars should not be allowed in the narration stand, and he's already been kicked out in April. The deal was made with the courts, and the courts agreed that after April, he's not going to be allowed anymore due to the fact that he not only lied, he aggressively abused everyone in April in the courtroom, yelling at them, abusing them, screaming at them, only because I refused all the incest requests and the blackmail price tags for millions of euros that this psychotic individual sent me throughout February and March. And now he aggressively abused everyone in the courtroom in April to make sure that my brain savant that he cannot get profit off of, no one else could profit off of either. You have to remember that a liar is not allowed in a courtroom, when especially when he's been lying against me. May 2nd, 2026 at 12:48 p.m. Even after April, he's still lying. I know this for a fact because May 2nd, 12:48 p.m. he's calling me frantically to try to get to see if I will still give him illegal assurance of money or not, despite him being caught and kicked out of the witness stand. He'd been caught lying so many times by May 2nd. He was sure that he would never be allowed in the courtroom ever again, due to which he was frantically calling me May 2nd, 12:48 p.m. It is an absolute, it's not something that can occur. Someone who's been caught lying so many times and fabricating is not allowed in the courtroom against anyone, and he's only lied against me to get revenge against me for knowing that I'm not giving him any of my brain savant money. Even 3 days ago, on August the 18th, he was claiming I was dumb, stupid, low IQ, bad exam taker, only to degrade me, put my name through the mud, only to get revenge from me because he knows I'm not going to give him any of the brain savant money. He should not be allowed to narrate against me after it's already been decided as such in April. Please, that's all I had to say. Please don't let this liar who's lied against me over and over and over and over again to be saying a single word against me when he's already abused everyone in court in April, and the courts had already agreed that he would never be allowed ever again after April. Thank you very much.